Blood had a lot of memorable moments. Shout out to everybody watching this video, whether it's live or on demand. We have a lot to discuss, so let's get right down into it. We kicked off Bad Blood with Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell did, in fact, kick off the show. A lot of us were wondering and speculating, why would WWE open with Hell in a Cell when it should be main eventing? Well, there was something very significant that happened at the end of the show. We will get to that in just a little bit. We had the hosts, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Naomi, introducing the match in the ring. The cell structure lowered. We had the pyro. Bill Goldberg was out there. More on Goldberg in just a little bit. Now, chat room, let me know your thoughts on CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, Hell in a Cell. Where would you rank it? If you had to rank it among the best Hell in a Cell matches, where would you put it? What did you like? What did you not like? Leave a comment. I will put some of the comments up on the screen. I thought it was an excellent Hell in a Cell match. It was the most violent Hell in a Cell match in a very long time. As they teased, we did in fact get blood, double blood. I cannot remember the last time in WWE where we had both wrestlers bleeding in the match. Sometimes we would get one person getting busted open the hard way, and that would be it. But here, both guys were busted open. They used the cell as a weapon, which I'm very much a fan of. It's a cage match. You might as well use the cage as a weapon, and that they did. We had a toolbox brought out, and a wrench was pulled out from it. There was a wrench in the toolbox. Punk was able to use it on McIntyre after McIntyre attempted to use it. McIntyre broke a leg off of the table. There were tables, of course, and Punk was able to get it from McIntyre. He choked McIntyre with it, and then McIntyre eventually got the upper hand. He took Punk out with the Claymore on the outside and then threw Punk headfirst into the cell. Punk was busted open. He took the wrench, drove it into Punk's open wound, and the crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." Then Punk was able to grab the toolbox and hit McIntyre with it. McIntyre was busted open, and he was gushing blood. I mean, this was maybe the biggest blood amount pouring from somebody that we've seen on a WWE show in a very long time. Now, what's funny to this in this match to me is that I've seen so many violent AEW matches over the past several years that I'm almost feeling numb to the WWE stuff. But I will say this, WWE did a very strong job with the booking of this match. They really thought it out well. It was well executed, and everything in this match meant something. Like, they took their time, they were selling things, and each moment had an impact. Now, shout out to TJS, who sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, TJS. He apparently made a personal donation to Kamala Harris, and then he said, CM Punk has beat the washed allegations and loved the Shawn Michaels heart on his trunks. He said, CM Punk, please dethrone Gunther. Well, we will be talking about Gunther in just a little bit and what's next for him. There was a moment with Gunther on this show, but anyways, back to the cell match. Both guys were busted open. McIntyre was hit with the GTS, but he fell out of the ring, and then he came back in, took down Punk with the Claymore. Punk was able to kick out of it, and then Punk avoided another Claymore, put on the sharpshooter, and we got a little WrestleMania 13 moment where McIntyre was trying to push out of it, just like Steve Austin did with Bret Hart. He had the blood pouring down his face, and he managed to grab the wrench, but then Punk took it and hit McIntyre repeatedly with it. And then there was another spot where they were in the corner, and McIntyre suplexed Punk off the apron through a table below, and then got him back in the ring. And then McIntyre used a low blow on CM Punk as an act of desperation. And then McIntyre had a black bag, and inside the bag, he had beads, the beads from CM Punk's bracelet. And thank you, TJS. Somebody finally called me out on this. There you go. I was so quick to start the live stream, I screwed up. We're live, pal. It's a live stream, and I screwed up. Shout out to Shanti with cats. Thank you for that, Shanti. I was so excited to start the stream, I forgot I left the SmackDown logo up. Shame on me. But anyways, thank you, Shanti. Shanti says, did you see WWE's top 5 Hell in a Cell before the show? It was mainly AEW guys and girls losing, LOL. I did not see it. I did not actually watch it, but that doesn't surprise me. I mean, I don't really think they do it intentionally, but maybe somebody who's running the account might find it funny and maybe puts a little bit of effort into making the AEW guys look bad. I don't know. I don't really think too much about it. So anyways, McIntyre had the beads in this bag from CM Punk's bracelet, and he dumped them over CM Punk's head and then went for the final Claymore, but Punk was able to move out of the way, and McIntyre landed on the steel steps. Then Punk, he took the beads, he stuffed the beads into McIntyre's mouth and then wrapped it around his knee, and then finished off McIntyre with the GTS. I thought this was great. I love the finish. They implemented the beads again, and Punk was able to get his final revenge on Drew McIntyre. Just an excellent Hell in a Cell match. Really well done. This was the match everybody was hoping for with these guys. They had this blood feud, and they finally settled the score. It's got to be up there among the better Hell in a Cell matches. I don't think I would ever put anything ahead of Shawn Michaels and Undertaker in the first one, or Mankind and Undertaker. But, I mean, this is the best Hell in a Cell match since the Attitude Era, in my opinion. Like, I would put this ahead of the Finn Balor and Edge match from WrestleMania, the Seth Rollins one from 2021. I would put this ahead of End of an Era, TJS. I wasn't the biggest fan of that one, although I did like the ending. But this match was a classic Hell in a Cell match, minus the guy getting thrown off the top. But as far as just a violent match to settle a score, this delivered big time. And I would say this is a contender for Match of the Year. And I would also say that this is Feud of the Year. I think this is going to win Feud of the Year. I mean, they just had an excellent feud going back to the beginning of the year from the Royal Rumble, and they managed to keep it interesting while CM Punk was hurt. I think CM Punk did a great job in this match. I think Drew McIntyre delivered. I thought both guys really delivered in this match big time. And it was the best match on the show, but was it the best moment? Well, we'll talk about that as we continue on with this recap. Now, after the match was over, CM Punk was walking out and he collapsed. So he was really selling the intensity of the match. you had officials coming out there, medical people, and they gave him some oxygen. And then Drew McIntyre was actually on his feet in the ring, very distraught. I feel like both guys need to take some time off. Like, I don't see CM Punk doing Crown Jewel. I mean, he would be a hypocrite to do Crown Jewel after the stuff he said in the past. And McIntyre, I think, would benefit from taking a little bit of time off. So I'm thinking maybe both of these guys can be gone for a little bit. Maybe CM Punk comes back for Survivor Series. You could even argue keeping McIntyre off TV until the Royal Rumble. Maybe bring him back as a surprise at the Royal Rumble, refreshed with his batteries charged, and maybe he can start a new feud or maybe move to SmackDown or something. I don't know. But yeah, I would give these guys a little bit of time off to sell the impact of Hell in a Cell and not have them appear on Raw. Raw's already stacked enough as it is. We got a world title match on Raw. Anyways, I highly recommend the match if you didn't see it. You know what? I would say best since Triple H and Batista. Triple H and Batista, I think, is one of the best Hell in a Cell matches of all time. So it's right up there with that one as far as just being a great match to settle a feud. We had a lot of celebrities at the show, by the way. Jacqueline, Lillian Garcia, Booker T, they were at ringside. I mentioned Goldberg earlier. You had Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Naomi in this luxury suite. Various people were making appearances. And you had DDP, X-Pac there. So anyways, we had Nia Jax versus Bayley. Now, this was for the Women's Championship. I thought the match was all right. It was in a tough spot. They had to follow CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. The match, I thought, was a bit sloppy. It did have its good moments, but I think really the interesting part of this match was the end. I thought the final part of it was what was memorable. The match itself was okay, but I did think it was a bit sloppy at times. So there was a ref bump. Nia accidentally collapsed onto the referee, and Bayley hit the rose plant. Referee was down. And then at this point, Tiffany Stratton, the Money in the Bank briefcase holder, ran out there and she attacked Bayley with the briefcase. She dropped the briefcase. She went to check on the referee. The referee got up and picked up the briefcase, but then Nia Jax did the Undertaker setup. This was great. I thought this was an awesome moment. Nia Jax sits up and she looks over. She sees the referee with the briefcase and Tiffany Stratton standing right there, and she just freaks out. And Tiffany tries to make it up. Bayley takes advantage. She gains control, and then she goes up top, but then Tiffany distracts Bayley. Nia Jax grabs Bayley, hits a Samoan drop, and then finishes off Bayley with the Annihilator. So Nia Jax retains the title, and Tiffany makes it up to Nia. But I thought this was very well done at the end. This is what was memorable about this match. Everything with Tiffany Stratton. It went pretty much the way I expected it, but I loved Nia Jax doing the sit-up and getting all pissed off at Tiffany Stratton. Now, Shanti sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Shanti. Says, is Piper Niven turning face backstage? I don't know, but there was more footage of Naomi, Bianca Belair, and Jade Cargill in the suite, and they were smelling something nasty. And as it turns out, you had Chelsea Green there with Piper Niven, and I guess Chelsea was still smelling from the dumpster match on SmackDown. This was great. I thought this was a funny way to get Chelsea on the show. And they did let Piper Niven stay, but I don't necessarily think it's a face turn for her. I actually like their pairing, and I think it's working out nicely with the two of them together. Now, Jordan1728 sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Says, CM Punk over Drew McIntyre is so stupid. WHHHO booked tonight. I think Punk winning is the right call. Punk is a needle mover. Look at the viewership numbers for Raw. The highest watched segment of the evening was CM Punk. CM Punk needed this win more than Drew McIntyre. If you want to utilize Punk and get the most out of him, he needed this win. He needed to win this blood feud with Drew McIntyre. Like I said, Drew McIntyre can take a couple of months off and come back, and he'll be all right. Punk needed to win this. After everything that's gone down, Punk needed to win the feud. So I 100% think Punk winning was the right call, and Punk will perhaps go for the championship at some point. You know, he definitely should go for the world title, and we're probably going to get Punk versus Seth Rollins. Punk looks a lot stronger going up against those guys with a win over McIntyre than losing. Ultimately, Punk should be putting over other people, but in this case, he needed to win this feud. All right, let's talk about Damian Priest versus Finn Balor. I thought that this was a good match. Not a classic match by any means. I mean, this one, again, pretty much went exactly as I expected it to go. Balor was taunting Priest. Priest turned up the aggression. They fought on the outside. And Balor did get in some offense during the match. But then Priest was able to make his comeback, and he gave Priest, or Priest gave Balor the razor's edge on the apron. And then at this point, we had the outside interference, as you would expect. Carlito, JD McDonough came out there, and Balor got the upper hand, came off the top with the coup de grace, but Priest was able to kick out of it. And then Balor tried to use a steel chair. Priest kicked it into his face. Priest took out Judgment Day, but then Balor regained the upper hand, tried to finish off Priest. He came off the top for another coup de grace attempt, but then he got hit with the South of Heaven chokeslam instead, and Priest picked up the 1-2-3 victory. It was a good match, but very much what I expected it to be. And Jordan1728 sent in $2. Thank you, Jordan. I appreciate it. Says, I'm done with Damian Priest burying Judgment Day. Move on. What Judgment Day needs, and I've said this in some of my live streams, Damian Priest needs a new opponent, and Judgment Day needs somebody who can be the muscle of the group. They need a new Damian Priest in the faction. So if they keep the feud going, they really do need like a big guy, a big intimidating monster to be part of the Judgment Day. This would have been a great opportunity for somebody like Dijak. They could have brought him into the Judgment Day. But yeah, that's what I think needs to happen next. If Judgment Day is going to continue, they really need like somebody credible. And even though Finn Balor is great, we all love him. He's a fantastic wrestler. I mean, nobody would expect him to be able to beat Damian Priest. Damian Priest is a beast. And Judgment Day needs that replacement. Before, Priest was the guy who people took seriously in Judgment Day. And Balor was almost like the bump guy, the guy to come in there and take the bumps. And then the big guy comes in and he's the one people take seriously. So that's what they really need at this point. Anyways, Triple H came out. So we had a very interesting segment with Triple H. Chat room, I need to know your thoughts on this. What did you think about the announcement? Triple H came out and Michael Cole called it a historic announcement. So what was the announcement? Well, at Crown Jewel, we are going to have the two world champions. The men's world champions will have a match, and the women's world champions will have a match. Basically, it's Survivor Series from several years ago before War Games, where it's brand versus brand. But this time, we actually have something on the line. There is going to be an annual Crown Jewel Championship on the line. So it's going to be Cody Rhodes versus either Gunther or Sami Zayn, and then Nia Jax versus, I guess, Liv Morgan, unless we get a title change between now and Crown Jewel. And the winners of those matches will become the Crown Jewel champion. And apparently this is going to be a yearly thing. So essentially, they're taking that old Survivor Series brand versus brand, champion versus champion concept and moving it to Crown Jewel and having a Crown Jewel championship on the line. My thoughts, I have mixed feelings. It's at least a match where something's on the line, but my issue with it is you're basically going to make two of your champions look secondary. And that was really the problem with the old Survivor Series format, is that ultimately you make one of the champions look second rate. So if you do, let's say, Gunther versus Cody Rhodes, I mean, I don't think either guy should be losing to the other one at this point. I'm not a fan in that sense. The women's match I don't think is as big of a deal, but I don't think Gunther should be losing, and this is a spoiler, potentially. I mean, pretty much my prediction, but I think it's a spoiler. Gunther's not losing to Sami Zayn. I feel like Gunther should not be losing to Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes should not be losing to Gunther. I'm just not a fan of it. I don't think it's the right time to be doing it. You want Gunther undefeated until WrestleMania. You want Cody Rhodes undefeated until he loses the title, whether it's WrestleMania or before WrestleMania. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. I feel like it got a pretty negative reaction, and I guess we'll have to see how it plays out. But I think this might be a miss from Triple H, but they got to please Saudi Arabia. They got that massive financial deal with them, so this is that. Anyways, there was more to this. So we had, they did show the titles, by the way, so the winner gets this big, expensive championship. Gunther came out there, the world champion, and he had some words for Bill Goldberg. He said that when he called Goldberg his favorite wrestler in the ring with Bret Hart a few weeks ago, he was lying. Goldberg is not his childhood hero. He called Goldberg a one-trick pony. And he was not done, because he brought up Goldberg's son, who was also sitting there. Goldberg's son and wife were there at ringside with him. And Gunther told Gage that he hoped that Bill was a better father than he was a professional wrestler. So Goldberg, of course, snapped. He jumped over the barricade. Security came out there. And then Sami Zayn showed up. And we had a brawl between Sami Zayn and Gunther to set up their match on Raw. And then Goldberg was in the ring. Triple H gave him a shout out. And the crowd was chanting Goldberg. I mean, this was Atlanta, so this is Goldberg country. Goldberg was massively over, and now everybody's terrified. People think that that Goldberg is going to face Gunther at some point. And apparently during the press conference, which is going on right now, but some of you are watching this, so I appreciate that. apparently Triple H was asked about a match, and he said, never say never. Could happen. I mean, this was definitely a tease, and the fans reacted like this was a big deal. So, hey, it might happen. Goldberg might come back for one more match against Gunther. If they can't get Brock Lesnar, hey, I guess Goldberg would be the next best thing. And Gunther or Goldberg can get one more big match before he retires. Man, there's a lot of news coming out of this show. So again, stay tuned to NoDQ.com. Let's get to Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley. Shark cage match. And they did show Diamond Dallas Page, Mickie James, Scott Steiner at ringside. That was cool. They had a video of Dominik and Liv Morgan in the lowrider. They drove out. It was obviously a pre-tape with them driving through the city, but then they came out in the lowrider in the arena. Dominik got put in the shark cage. He was hoisted up, and this was pretty entertaining, as you might expect it to be, but some mixed feelings about how everything played out. So Rhea Ripley largely dominated the match. Liv Morgan got in some offense here and there. Like she hit this sunset flip power bomb to Rhea into the barricade and then got her back in the ring, did the code breaker from the second rope. But it was mostly Rhea in control. And then Dominik somehow managed to get the cage door open. And then Rhea taunted him, did the yeet chant, or the yeet taunt, hit a frog splash. Liv kicked out of that. And then Rhea took Liv to the outside, gave her the riptide on the floor. And this is when it got crazy. So Dominik tried to like jump out of the shark cage, which was open, and his foot was attached to a chain. So he like fell out of the cage and was hanging. His foot was hanging. He was upside down, hanging from the shark cage. I mean, I could not have predicted this. I will give WWE credit. This was unique for sure. Hopefully they did it safely. I mean, I'm not sure how this sort of stunt works, but it looked pretty scary. Like, I'm not sure it's something I would want to do, like just basically dive out head first and then be hanging like that by my foot. But they did a funny thing here. So Rhea Ripley took a kendo stick and basically treated Dominik like a piñata. So this was very entertaining. But then Raquel made her return. And she attacked Rhea Ripley. And this is where it got really weird. So the referee was not really watching, but then he called for the bell. So it was a DQ. Raquel attacked Rhea Ripley, and we had a DQ on the premium live event. It looked very awkward, this whole sequence. And then Rhea was laid out in the ring, and Raquel put Liv's body over Rhea Ripley. And a lot of people think that maybe this wasn't supposed to be the finish. Like the referee wasn't supposed to stop the match, but the referee wasn't supposed to be seeing it. And then Raquel puts Liv over Rhea Ripley, and the referee counts 1, 2, 3 victory. I mean, that would have made more sense. The DQ just felt very flat. So something must have gone wrong here with the timing of everything. So yeah, it could have been executed a lot better. I'm happy Raquel's back. I like her being paired up. She actually brings some more credibility if they put her in Judgment Day, but we still need that intimidating male wrestler in the group too. But I'm all for Raquel as a heel, being with Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley still on the chase. All that I'm fine with. But yeah, the execution of this, I think definitely could have been done better. All right, moving on to the main event. Chat room, let me know your thoughts on the actual match itself, and then we'll talk about all the post-match shenanigans. And there's even more stuff, which I will talk to at the very end. So there was something that happened to Cody Rhodes post-premium live event. I will comment on that here as we get to the end. So main event time. What did you guys think about the entrances? So Cody came out first. I mean, Bloodline came out, then Cody came out. And you had this marching band, the Arkansas Pine Band, University of Arkansas Pine Band. I'm not sure the name. So they played Cody's theme song. And I have to say this, sometimes certain songs, like rock songs, are not meant to be played as a marching band song. Like, I don't think it worked out. Like, it went viral and everything, but in this case, like, I was actually laughing at it. Like, it just didn't sound good to me. And then the intro, Cody's intro with the wrestling has more than one royal family. For some reason, it was said twice. It was said once, nothing happened. And then it was said twice. And then Cody finally came out there with his regular entrance music. And like the band was playing sometimes with the music and sometimes they weren't. It didn't really hit, in my opinion. Then Roman Reigns came out second. Even though Cody's the WWE champion, Roman Reigns comes out second, and he's got a full orchestra. So he's got the choir singers, he's got the people with the various instruments, and Roman gets the real big, pomp and circumstance entrance. Anyways, so this match was basically every single Bloodline match you've ever seen. Very slow-paced, slow-moving, the long feeling out process. Roman and Cody were talking who's going to start the match. Cody started it. And then Roman tagged in. Roman went at it with Jacob Fatu for a little bit, and you had some distractions, and then Cody tagged back in, but then another distraction. Things started to break down a little bit, and then you had the Bloodline working over Cody for a long time, and they did the thing they do in every tag match, basically, where Roman is about to tag in, but then he gets pulled off the apron. And it's just so overdone. I will say this, though. The way the camera shot the angle, it looked like Roman turned against Cody. Like, for a split second, I thought Roman purposely jumped off the apron and turned heel on Cody. But actually, Jacob Fatu pulled off Roman from the apron. So anyways, Roman eventually got the hot tag, of course. He comes in, he does all the big moves, cleaning house. And then Cody gets back into the mix when Roman was double teamed. And then Cody took out Jacob Fatu, put him on the announce table, came off the top with the big splash. And that took out Fatu. So it was down to Roman Reigns and Solo in the ring. Roman was going for the spear, but then the Tongas showed up. The Tongas came out there and interfered. Solo hit a spear. Reigns was able to kick out. And then a person who had his face covered showed up, super kicked both Tongas, and revealed himself as Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso is back to help out Roman Reigns, the original tribal chief. Roman Reigns then pinned Solo to pick up the win. I should have known better. I shouldn't have gone against Roman Reigns and Cody here. This was the right time to bring back Jimmy Uso, have him even the odds. So now the odds are evened up a bit, and we'll have to see if the Bloodline can get some more reinforcements, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, match wasn't great. I did like Jimmy coming back, though. I thought the last couple minutes, as usual with the Bloodline matches, they're very slow in the beginning, but then things pick up at the end. They protected Fatu as much as possible. Jimmy comes back. He hugs Roman Reigns at the end. And then we get a really big hard sell for Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, a potential third match between them. Roman Reigns has this little face-off with Cody. He leaves the ring with Jimmy, and then the Bloodline attacks Cody Rhodes. Roman Reigns is hesitating. Roman Reigns is like, I don't want to help this guy. He's my enemy. I did this one time as a favor. But then Jimmy talked Roman into it to do the right thing. So Roman gets back in the ring. Roman and Jimmy take out the Bloodline. Roman picks up the WWE title and he looks at it, but ultimately hands it back over to Cody Rhodes. He does the right thing, but we're not done. Just as you think the show's over, The Rock's music hits. We got The Rock. It was speculated he was in Georgia. People were thinking, why would they put the tag match on last? Well, this is why. The Rock shows up at the end. You can't have The Rock show up in the opening match. You just can't do it. So The Rock shows up at the end, and now he does the 1, 2, 3. Looks like maybe they're teasing a triple threat for WrestleMania. Business has definitely picked up. The Rock comes out there. He's got his title, by the way, the title that Muhammad Ali's widow gave him during the Hall of Fame. So The Rock still has that title. And we definitely have the first big tease for WrestleMania, whether it's going to be a triple threat or somehow it ends up one-on-one with The Rock versus Roman or The Rock versus Cody, maybe one match on night 1 or one on night 2. The Rock's back in the mix, so things are starting to pick up now for WrestleMania with The Rock coming back. What's going to happen now for War Games, Royal Rumble? Lots of questions now. And we're not done. I mean, there was a post-match angle, so I'm going to talk about it real quick. I haven't even seen it. I've just gotten text messages about it. So Kevin Owens turned heel after the show went off the air and attacked Cody Rhodes, which surprises me a little bit. Feels a little rushed. Like, we already got The Rock coming back. They could have done this like on SmackDown or something. I feel like maybe they're rushing this turn, with all these other things happening. But yeah, Kevin Owens has officially turned heel and attacked Cody Rhodes after the show went off the air. I believe in the parking lot, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that was Bad Blood. And Mr. Anderson sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Mr. Anderson. Says, good PLE. I graded a B. Also glad Jimmy Uso was back. All right, so I thought it was overall a really strong show. It did have a few weak points here and there, but the Hell in a Cell was a match of the year candidate. One of the best Hell in a Cell matches in a very long time. So to me, that boosts the show very high. The end of the show was pretty strong with Jimmy Uso coming back and The Rock. Middle of the show wasn't great, but I'm gonna go with an A- for the show. I mean, the Hell in a Cell was strong enough, and the end of the show was very strong. So I think it was an A- show. If the middle was stronger, like it could have been a top tier WWE Premium Live event, but the middle was a bit hit and miss, and the main event started off slow. But all in all, I think it was a very memorable show. I actually did enjoy the Goldberg and Gunther segment, even though people are like, well, it's talking, it's not wrestling. I did find it entertaining. And I did enjoy some of the stuff with Dominik in the cage. I mean, it was a very strong show overall. And, relatively short. It was like 3.5 hours, 5 matches, 3.5 hours. And there was some filler, but there was time to breathe. And you know, they managed to have some fun little cameo appearances from various legends. They got in a nice little appearance from Chelsea Green. So yeah, I very much enjoyed Bad Blood, and I recommend checking out the show. For sure, watch Hell in a Cell and check out the end of the pay-per-view. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. You can read the full results on No DQ as well as post-show updates. NoDQ.com will have you covered on that. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone. And stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all the very latest news and rumors. We'll talk more about all these big events coming up this week. No DQ review will be on Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So check that out. Say yes to NoDQ.com. Buy a shirt, NoDQ.com/merch. And I will see you all next time.